Namaskar and good evening, everybody. I welcome all of you to this Sunday webinar of Philosophy Family. Today, we have with us Brigadier Dr. J.S. Rajpurohit sir. Though he is not from the Department of Philosophy, he is from the defense side. But we have listened to his talks, two talks rather, I remember, one on the karma theory and another on the triguna theory, and we had very useful discussion on the talks that were presented by Dr. Rajpurohit sir. And today he will be speaking to us on Bhagavad Gita and management. Yes, we do understand that Dr. Rajpurohit sir has taught management to the army men, the soldiers, and those who are in the defense, to make them mentally strong, to manage the war crisis, to manage the war situations. So he found Bhagavad Gita useful, maybe. And today he will be sharing his experiences as a teacher to the army people. So he will be sharing his experiences along with the connectivity between Bhagavad Gita and managing situations. So today we'll be learning a lot as to how Bhagavad Gita would be greatly instrumental in shaping various life situations. So, without wasting much time, let us all move to Brigadier Dr. Rajpurohit sir for his lecture. Welcome, sir. Namaskar, sir. Please.
Namaskar, Jai Hind. It is indeed a privilege to speak to the scholars. And scholars, majority of you are elder to me, both in age, service, and knowledge. I'm only a humble student of learning. And being a soldier forces me to learn management. It's not a choice. Unfortunately, it's not a choice with me. If I don't manage my life, if I don't manage my unit or an organization, the failure is equal to death. In a business concern, in a business unit, a failure may lead to profit or loss, which can be covered. But in war, there is no silver medal. And therefore, management has to be the top class to not only survive, but excel. And Gita gives us that connect with life, that connect with society, that connect with the business. And it is from there that we can draw our relevant lessons. I'm also sanguine of the fact that all of you are better than me in terms of knowledge about Gita. So all the lacunae that I exhibit are primarily maybe my fault. So I'm open to criticism, I'm open to suggestions, and I'm open to learning. With that, I'll commence today's session. A couple of my friends all have joined and would be maybe joining. Welcome Lalita ji, welcome Kaushal and your friends. It's indeed a privilege for the young generation to come and join the discourses that we at our age and stage are talking. And I feel it very strongly that the next generation has to get into the grooves. It has to get into the grooves of life to learn their lessons of life. Because it is they who will hereafter command not only their lives, but the entire nation. So let me share my presentation and yeah. Oh, how do I share my presentation here? If somebody can help me. I can't see my window, which is Okay. Okay, right. I think I can now share. Can you all see me, please? And
Yes,
see
sir,
the
we can.
presentation. All right. I do not know if I have. I'll stop sharing and let me again reconnect and share so that I can add the sound as well. Is there a is the sound automatically added? Kaushal, can you help me? Okay, fine. Let me go ahead with this. Fine, ladies and gentlemen, heartiest welcome to this session on Bhagavad Gita and management. As we discussed earlier, all of us know what Gita is. All of us understand what Gita is. And all of us have our lessons, our respective lessons in our individual or professional life. Management is another aspect which is a modern buzzword. The 20th century onwards, we have learned the aspects of management, whereas uh, our Sanskriti, our culture has got management which is inherent in our social life from morning till evening. And it is so well regulated that if you simply follow that cultural style, there would be no challenges, challenges, no depressions, no anxieties, no stresses. All that would go forward is we shall be able to manage our lives little better. So when I look at Mahabharata, I look at Bhagavad Gita, these two words are very commonly interchangeably spoken in our country. And not only in our country, elsewhere as well. But I'm sure you all understand a subtle difference between the two. Mahabharat is that entire story of Mahabharat. When you say महाभारत हुआ था, महाभारत हुआ नहीं था, महाभारत है. Bharat is our nation and Mahabharat is our entire concept of nation. So Mahabharat is not the war that at times we call it. Bhagavad Gita is one subset of overall the cultural, the civilizational history of Bharat. So it is that minuscule part of the entire Mahabharata. So Bhagavad Gita may not be confused with Mahabharata. We have a unique civilization. This civilization is thousands of years of our age. More than 20,000 years have already been identified. They have been verified on ground. They have been astronomically connected and found that it is a history. So Mahabharata is that civilization of ours, that history of ours that has got a very strong cultural roots. And what you and me are living today is the story of Mahabharata, which is an ongoing story, a continuous civilization, a continuous life in our own Bharat, which is from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, which is from Kandahar to Myanmar, what we call it today. That entire Jambu Dweep is Mahabharata. And the life is ever green, ever implementable, because our roots, our culture, our traditions are so strong that despite all the influences, despite all the downfall that we have seen in our history, our culture still stands tall. Our culture still stands the most vibrant culture in the world. While all others talk of 3,000, 2,400 or 500 years of existence, or maybe till beginning of Isa, Jesus Christ. So the concept of Jesus Christ and after death of Jesus Christ is the modern day's life across the world, which we are also living. But simultaneously, we have a life which is continuing. Even in today, Indian culture, Indian calendar is followed across length and breadth of our country in the same olden ways as we used to. The modern day management, of course, we have gone to the Western culture and we follow that kind of calendar is all right. It's all right. But when you look at Mahabharata, it's an overall concept of a nation that we talk of. And nation, you all understand, is not a country. is not a geographical boundary. It is sum total of geographical boundary, people inclusive, the culture of these people inclusive, and their welfare inclusive. That is how the entire concept of a nation has been continuing as Mahabharata. Coming on to Gita. Gita is description of a battle that has taken place between two adversaries. And this battle covers so much of discourse between two sets of people, which gives us tremendous lessons of life, lessons of management, and so on. So Bhagavad Gita, we all know it, has got 18 chapters, about 7,000 shlokas. It has got its own historical importance. It talks about 18 different parv. It talks of 18 chapters, which are called different types of yoga. And mind you, I'm sure you all already know it. It is the longest ever poem written in the history of mankind. It is the longest version, which had almost 10,000 shlokas that existed. I somehow do not relate when people say shloka. Shloka is a Western name to our shlok. Similarly, yoga, should start calling yog and shlok, shishya, and so on. Pardon my little deviation. If you go into lines and verses, there are all over 2 lakh individual verse lines in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita has got 1.3 million words. It is 10 times the size of Iliad and Odyssey. Bhagavad Gita is 4 times the volume and size of Ramayana. Bhagavad Gita is said to be written by Vedvyas, but it again is a tremendous source where you can say Vedvyas was one individual or it was a culture. That's a point of debate which I shall not go into at this point. But suffice to say that the Bhagavad Gita, which is a description and a discourse of a battle and an interaction between Bhagwan Krishna and his disciple friend Arjun. Now, this song of God conveyed in form of a poem is what we're going to talk today. This is what is also the essence of Vedanta. All the Vedas that have existed, they have somehow been covered in one or the other aspect of Veda. So let's go and see. When I started working on this, I said, let me look at what is management and what is Gita and how does the world look at this. A single click on Microsoft Bing led me to almost 18.6 lakh results. When I went to Chrome, the results showed more than 80 lakh results. So suffice to say that the world is reading lessons, reading Gita, reading management aspects that are connected with Gita. And when I clicked Mahabharata on the same, it has 1 crore 32 lakh results. I'm sure we all understand the kind of importance the entire world gives to Gita and Mahabharata. That's enough to say that it has got so much of wealth. When you look at Bhagavad Gita, its translation has started way back when the British started industrialization. And not only in English, Latin, German, French, Greek, anybody and everybody has attempted or has already translated Bhagavad Gita. If they did not have lessons of life, if it did not have lessons of management, why should so much of attraction go into the entire world towards this one set of poems, one set of talk? So there is something which is there, and we need to take a note of it. And we need to tell everybody else. Even if you question, why is everyone translating this? Why is everyone reading it? It will give us immense inputs. Why I'm emphasizing this is that we need to recommence reading, understanding, and using it in life. I looked at top 20 Western management gurus. I found These are the names which have existed in 20th and are there in 21st century. You know all of them: Maxwell, Jack Welch, Daniel Goleman, Dale Carnegie, Kenneth. Kenneth's book on management has studied the world over today. Stephen Covey, Robin Sharma, you know all of them. Peter Drucker is not there. He is again guru of management. He is the best known figure in management. So combine together all of them. Have they been able to give management lessons what Gita has given? Part answer could be yes, and part answer could be no. If you look into the political science, if you look into social sciences, you also find these words: idealism, realism, Marxism, liberalism. What is Bhagavad Gita? It is the most realistic story that we can think about. Ramayana, you can say it was idealism. Maryada Purushottam Bhagwan Ram. But when it comes to talking reality, talking spade, it is Marxism and liberalism again. They fall on the two sides of the bell curve. And therefore, to be realistic in life is to be understanding and learning major aspects of life. And Gita gives it immensely. He has no attachments, can really love others, for his love is pure and divine. The Lord said it. Bhagwan Ram said it. Now, attachment, he says no attachment. Again, it has got large number of versions, and we can go talking about what is attachment and what is personal affection and personal love and no attachment. Does it mean that I do not love my brother, my mother, my children, my wife, and so on? No, I must love them. But when you say no attachment, that means I have no expectations from them. I will only give. And when you start giving and not expecting, the real love starts. The real purity starts. The divinity comes in that relation. Unfortunately, most of us, why most of us? Almost all of us expect one or the other thing from each other. Show me one person, one man, woman on this planet today who says, no, I will only give. The moment attachment comes into play, the rest of the things fall by the wayside. Material attachment or any other attachment, personal attachment, they're all part of it. We all understand this. But how far are we attached? We have to really see this. And we know this 7th shlok of chapter 4 is so famous. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam dharmasya tadatmanam hrizamyaham. श्री कृष्ण कहते हैं, जब जब इस पृथ्वी पर धर्म की हानि होती है, mark the word धर्म, it is not religion, it is responsibility. We can talk more of it later. जब जब धर्म की हानि होती है, विनाश होता है, अधर्म बढ़ता है, तब तब मैं इस पृथ्वी पर अवतार लेता हूं. Even if Bhagwan Krishna had not said this, we all know, the science says this, that the more the damage to Mother Earth, at one point of time, it will balance it out. And Bhagwan Krishna says exactly the same thing. So there is a power which governs all these things. And when Bhagwan Krishna says, you do your duty, let rest of it be controlled by, he says, me as avatar, me as Prithvi, me as the power, the energy, the cosmos, and everything else. 8th shlok, continuation. It says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. सज्जनों और साधुओं की रक्षा करने के लिए, mark the word रक्षा, पृथ्वी से पाप को नष्ट करने के लिए, पापियों का विनाश करने के लिए, धर्म की स्थापना करने के लिए मैं हर युग में अवतार लेता हूं और पृथ्वीवासियों का कल्याण करता हूं. When you look at these words, रक्षा, विनाश, धर्म की स्थापना, and ultimately कल्याण, Now, this Kalyan is what is actually leading to the previous actions, Raksha, Vinash, and Dharma ki sanstha. What is Kalyan? Kalyan is that state welfare, the concept of state welfare, which Kautilya said, which Bhagwan Ram established, which Yudhishthira established. If what is concept of welfare state that Mahabharat was, and what is today we are doing? We are attempting all kinds of management techniques to achieve what? Kalyan. Kalyan of my nation. Kalyan of people of my nation. Kalyan of other people. International relations between the two countries. Strategic relations between the two countries. Why? To help each other. Least realizing that 3/4 of the fish of the oceans in the world have already been killed and packed into boxes. They are all lying in the boxes. And people who need food do not have the food. So much of variation. Does it qualify to be called Kalyan? I leave it to your good judgment. But it does give us a lesson to say that if it is a welfare state, let's look at actual welfare of the people. And he says, Gita, by very simple relation, says, if you want to reach God doesn't mean, you get into meditation and go into Himalayas. No. Established relations means you be best with yourself. Enjoy the life that you want to enjoy. Whatever be it, whatever is your lakshya, your goal, please enjoy your goal. But how? 3 simple methods. Bhishma Parv says, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. We will talk of it more as we go by. But if you are a Karma Yogi, or a Bhakti Yogi, or a Jnana Yogi, or Jnana Yogi, you are likely to live a very divine life. A life which will help the society, which will help the mankind. And that is exactly what we're looking at. What does the management do? Management ultimately brings you to say, you do your duty. That's what Karma Yoga says. Be responsible for whatever you are and then follow it to the hilt. What it does not say, what Gita says and what management says, there's a slight difference between Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga says, I do my dharma, I do my duty to the best of my ability. The modern management says, please do your duty very, very seriously. If you don't, we will give you a pink slip. Don't come for job tomorrow morning. Gita does not say this. Karma Yoga says, we will make you the person that you are. You will reach your potential of your most able chemical energy, most able kinetic energy, and you'll reach your highest ability. That is what is Karma Yoga. That leads an individual to. Modern management somehow only looks for the best. It is the process of rejection, not the process of selection, which the British started when they started for the first time Indian civil services in India. They started the process of selection. Pandavas and Kauravas never said we will select, and out of 100 Kauravas, following will be selected and following will be rejected. All of them were there in the battle. Pandavas, no one criticized each other. All of them were there. There were differences of opinion. There were differences, strong differences, all right. Yudhishthira would not budge from his own principles. But despite the differences, Karma Yoga helped them stay together, fight a righteous war. And he says, Api chedasi papebhyaha sarvebhyaha pap kritam sarva jnana viplava vajranam santarishas. Even if you were to be the worst of sinners, agar aapne bahut bada paap bhi kar diya hai, you can cross the miseries, the sins by the boat of knowledge. And he says, qualifies transcendental knowledge. So Jnana Yoga is that one aspect which can take you across all your crimes. So these crimes can be overcome. But how? Again, there is a process that we need to learn. And a good part of this is that this is a story that we know of Bhagavad Gita. Since it is in Sanskrit, most of us don't understand Sanskrit. India is a multi-language country. So large number of languages, and Sanskrit is not spoken in all states in equal form. Therefore, there's a challenge of reading Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit, understanding it. Yesterday, I was in a session in the university here in Jaipur, and one student, he says, "Sir, I have read Gita 2 times, and sir, मैंने बहुत समय लगाया, पर सच बताऊं सर, मुझे ये काल्पनिक लगा और मेरे सब ऊपर से निकल गया." I pitied that student. That he read Sanskrit, he did not understood a word of Sanskrit. And then he was at a point to say, hell with it, I can't. When I said, okay, we will sit, let's make it very simple. So we need to bring Bhagavad Gita to the masses in the language they understand, and then see the context of management. That's where the beauty lies. The disparity most of the time is between these two. The word management, if you know, has come from a Latin and the French word managere. Managing the horses, moving resources, moving horses for war. That was the original concept of management. Bhagavad Gita did not start with that concept. Our concept started with cosmic energy, bringing out the best in you, understanding who you are. And this is the story of Mahabharata that brings you the best. And when you look at Gita, I'll give you two perspectives, and simultaneously I shall keep connecting the Bhagavad Gita perspective with the management perspective. Right. So if there are any questions, I shall request you can keep jotting down, and then we can discuss it later moment I finish. And Om Naren Rao sir, you keep a watch of time, and you can give me a tinkle or call whenever there is time. I'll attempt to finish by 7:15 or 7:20 so that we have some time for question answers. If required more, I can continue. So I'll give you a perspective of Parva and Yoga, the chapters that we have, right? So the Parva says that 4 yogas or the spiritual paths that exist. We spoke of Karma, Bhakti and Jnana in a very short manner, and Raj Yoga, which is the path of meditation, understanding. So we can talk about this to a great deal, and I love to show you this a slight clip, a small clip of Bhagavad Gita. I'll take the first aspect of Karma Yoga. Though, as I said, most of you are learned scholars, and you would know better than me, but I'll attempt my way. When you say karma, it has to be a selfless service. Selfless service means whatever I'm doing, it is not for me. Whatever I'm doing, it is for the welfare of society, welfare of Ma Bharati. When you do this, it becomes slightly idealistic. That if there is nothing in for you, why should you actually work? Today's management concept says, if I get so much of pay, I shall work. If I do MBA, I will get this kind of salary, and therefore I will do this course. If MBA doesn't suit me, I say I will do a machine learning or artificial intelligence language course. So my path of action, my Karma Yoga is not selfless, is for my own aggrandizement, my own growth, personal selfish motive of collecting material and growing. By the way, nothing wrong in it. I'll cover that in the next slide. There's absolutely nothing wrong in collecting artha and using it as a kama. इस अर्थ को, इस धन को, इस पृथ्वी को का इस्तेमाल करना, इस पैसे को इकट्ठा करना, मटीरियलिज्म को इकट्ठा करना गलत नहीं है. Pleasure of life has to be enjoyed in this very life. And therefore, if I put these two together and then say, okay, if my life and Karma Yoga, does it remain selfless? Sounds difficult. But yes, it's possible. We all do it. And Karma Yoga only tells you a way of life wherein your income for your own self is for your survival and growth. And so far as it does not have personal motive, it is okay to earn for yourself. So far it does not damage others, causes losses to others, it is okay. Part of it goes to the society, it is absolutely fine. It does not say that soldier is the only guy who's doing selfless service because he serves in the border and the risk profile is very high from management terms. The risk profile again in other kinds of jobs is limited. And therefore, karma yoga or selfless service in a social sector, political sector, or business sector is less. No, that's not the way we need to think. You may be in any field. The service to the society is possible. So, in any sector that you are, you do your duty in the most beautiful manner that you can do. जब तक करप्शन का मन में भाव नहीं आता है, जब तक चीटिंग का भाव मन में नहीं आता है, मैं भर के रख लूंगा दूसरे को ना मिले, ये भाव नहीं आता है, तब तक आप कर्मयोगी हैं. लेकिन इससे ज्यादा अगर आप होर्डिंग करने लगते हैं, एंड these limits are not laid actually. There are no defining line that you below this particular line corruption is accepted and below above this corruption is not accepted. You know, I'm reminded of a story of Yudhishthir when he was told to tell a lie. Tell a lie because after the fall of Bhishma Pitamaha, Dronacharya took over the command of the Kaurava Sena, and he was invincible. Very difficult to kill him. So a plan was chalked out that we tell that Ashwathama has been killed, and the loss of Ashwathama, Dronacharya's son, is unacceptable to him. And if this news reaches him, that very day he will die. Now, this particular action is a corrupted action. It is a selfish action. So, should we say it formed part of Karma Yoga and it was incorrect? Yudhishthir refused to say so. What did Yudhishthir say? Yudhishthir said, Hatotva Ashwathama, Narotva Ashwathama. He says, Ashwathama has been killed. I do not know which one. So this latter half, 2 words, actually did the job. He did not say a wrong thing, and still the selfless or the war fighting could be done. It was a part of deception. It was part of misinformation campaign. It was part of whatever part of battle you call it. But when this message reached Drona, the desired effect took place. What does it show? That despite all the ups and downs, if your overall goal is for the good of the society, even your truth being spoken in a certain manner would be part of Karma Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is, again, we all know, you get devoted. You tell the God that, okay, I will do my bit and rest is up to you. I have 100% faith. Now, this cannot be the blind faith that we put in a company today and that company cheats you. That is not Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is the concept of life that you're doing, concept of business that you're doing, concept of managing your life that you're doing, and you're devoted to that. Follow the righteous course. And that Bhakti in one power, supreme power, whichever power you call it, whichever way you want to define it, whether it was Meera ki Bhakti or Radha ka Pyar, it was Bhakti. You may. Variations and differences are welcome. Then, in case of any of these things going wrong, knowledge and wisdom is what helps. जैसे जैसे ज्ञान चक्षु खुलते जाते हैं वैसे वैसे क्लैरिटी आती जाती है, जिंदगी साफ होती जाती है, कर्म और भक्ति नजर आने लगती है, रिश्तेदारी नजर आने लगती है, बिजनेस समझ में आने लगता है. And when you're able to do this and understand the pluses and minuses, losses and profits, you start understanding how you can actually make your life most enjoyable. And Gyan Yoga is also one. At this age of say 50, 60 and above, you start feeling, automatically one starts feeling little disconnect with the material wealth. क्या करना है इतना इकट्ठा करके, कहां लेकर के जाएंगे? But remember, Dharma Shastra said this, that was part of it. But when you use Jnana Yoga, when you use Raj Yoga, you start understanding the higher concept of life, higher concept of the God or the world or cosmic energy or the power that exists. And when that starts happening, your spiritual path is very clear. The life becomes worth it. And if I try and put the parvas in context, see there are 8 parvas, which says first 9 parvas only define life up to the completion of Battle of Mahabharata, and 10th to 18th parv talks of the story after the battle is over. From Krishna going with the Yadavas, bringing them back to Mathura, and the entire Yadavas finishing, Pandavas going to Himalayas, and ultimately Yudhishthir reaching there. So these parvas are very, very clearly defined. That first 9 parvas are the battle, and the post are the rest of the life. Adi Parv talks before battle of Mahabharata, Gita, battle of between the Kauravas and Pandavas. Sabha Parv is till the time Pandavas lose the game of dice, Draupadi Chirharan is executed, and Pandavas get exiled. So that entire story is there in it. And whichever part of the story you talk, it is full of lessons of management. Full of lessons. There's not enough time that we can discuss all of them. Partial we will talk. One part teaches so much again about the when management, when you have to survive in forest and those 12 years. So if you go to a new city, you join a new company, it's an exile for you. You're entering a new world. You got to learn the ways and means to not only survive, but you need to learn to thrive. And if you can thrive there, your exile is wonderful. How does it say? Creativity comes into play, leadership part comes into play, relational aspects come into play, networking of today, it comes into play. Virat Parv, year of Cognito, when the Parvas had to stay for 1 year in a very, very deceptive state to not to be identified. So see what difficult times, but again it gives you the management terms of how you can live your life beautifully. Udyog Pav, the book of efforts, preparation of war between the two. So after they return, the situations do not improve, the war efforts are on, and finally they head for war. Could the war have been avoided? The first management lesson. If you are preparing for war, how do you prepare the two armies? There must have been logistics support, the supply chain management, the HR management of such huge armies, the animal management, man management, weaponry management, talent management, retention of the talent. Which kings join which party? There have been kings who have left one party and joined the other party. How does it happen? Your own relations are either your boss, your subordinates, or your competitor in the market. It teaches you. And the moment you learn that all are relationals, and what stands in between you and any other competitive, whoever he or she may be, what stands is righteousness. What stands is your own lakshya, your own objectives, or your own targets of your firm. So if you correlate the two, you find that anybody who's honest, working hard and working sincerely, he or she gets the best in the Lord, promotion and so on. Bhishma Par, it talks of finally Bhishma falling. And remember, if you have to beat your competitor, please bring Bhagwan Krishna. Bhishma was not falling. And Arjun refused to fight him. So he says, if not you, I will go and fight him. Because unless he is eliminated, the Kauravas cannot be eliminated. So if some power of yours, the opposition of yours or a competitor cannot be eliminated, bring the best force. Bring the best method by which you can apply and compete with the gentleman. Drona Parv, I shared the story of Drona. Karna Parv. You remember after Dronacharya dies, the command is taken by Karna. Karna was not permitted to fight initially. But later on, after the death of Dronacharya, Karna was brought in by Duryodhan. And when Karna came in, again he was invincible. Arjun could have killed him. What is that? You remember that incident when Karn's Rath blocks down and he gets down to repair the wheel. That's the time Krishna tells Arjun to shoot and Arjun refuses. Again, it's a treachery. But when Krishna reminds him of the treachery that Karna has done, your competitor has always been bullying you and bugging you and doing all incorrect actions, and you say, "Main dharma follow karunga." It was not agreed to even by Bhagwan Krishna. So he said, do it. And it was done. Shalya Parv, last day of the battle. And now hereafter, Saptika, Stri, Shanti, these are all Parvas which talk of all men, women, Kauravas, Pandavas, they're settling down into new way of life. And ultimately, the entire story ends when all of them leaves for heaven. So I shall restrict myself here. If there are any questions, I can take on. But suffice to say that Swargarohana Parv is also Yudhishthira's final test of his concept of life. So what deviates and what distinguishes this kind of Parvas with the exact life today? We spoke about it. And it teaches us what is Purusharth. Yeah, pardon my spelling of Purusharth. It talks of very clear distinction between dharma and adharma. What is right and wrong? What is moral and immoral? What is good and not good? And if we are able to identify the distinction between them during Gita, during Mahabharata, well, today's business world also does this. Anybody who is wrong is taken to the court. Morals and immorals are all the way up about. Ethics is all about the business ethics that we talk in HR. Purushartha, I spoke part of it earlier. Dharma, Kam, Arth, Kam, and Moksha. Dharma is very clear that what I have to do, what are my way of life. मेरा धर्म क्या है? मुझे इस पृथ्वी पर क्या करना है? Who am I? Do I understand myself? If yes, do I follow my duty that I'm destined or I designed for myself? Will my duties bring me the best in this life? If the answers of all these questions are yes, then you are on the right path. You have selected your right course of action. So what Peter Drucker says, and what is the change management from nowhere to the best where, or whatever we were going, and we want to bring a change and make a new trend line and take it to the best way that my unit, my firm, my industry performs, or I perform in my industry, is only when I do my analysis of dharma. You can correlate, write down the activities of dharma during Mahabharata and Gita's time, and what are my duties today, and do the LHS, RHS, and I think it will sit absolutely right. And if you are wrong, you will get the direction. I spoke about earth. Purushartha says that you please work for earth. आप काम किसके लिए कर रहे हैं? अर्थ धरती को भी बोलते हैं, अर्थ पैसे को भी बोलते हैं, अर्थ रीजन को भी बोलते हैं, which earth also relates to absolutely nothing wrong. And Purushartha also says that you please enjoy this earth, enjoy the calm, enjoy the pleasures of life. All that we understand in today's world with calm is sexuality, sexual relations, harassment, and things like. So please take this word out of that little caboodle of uh, relating it to sexual part, relate it to the pleasures of life, pleasures of society, pleasures of relations, pleasures of life, pleasures of business, pleasures of everything that the world has to give you and me. If we can enjoy this life together, that is calm, pleasure, enjoying the best that you can from Mother Earth, the nature, and so on. And if we are able to achieve all these three, only then the route to moksha opens. Otherwise, it doesn't open. So if you really have to achieve moksha, you cannot skip the first three steps. So you may call it an industrial मारुति का बनाने वाले का sequential action है. आपको धर्म करना पड़ेगा, आपको अर्थ अर्जित करना पड़ेगा, आपको ये pleasures of life enjoy करना है, and then only the route to moksha opens. So again, variations, debate, etc. we can again discuss a lot, but suffice to say that these cardinal rules apply even today. Ultimately say I want to go to Hawaii and take that boat and go fishing. Moksha. I want to have a palatial house and enjoy. Moksha. Is that the concept of moksha of modern times, modern management? I don't think that's the moksha. It is much higher level. The highest level of hierarchy of physical, social, esteem, and ultimately spirituality. That spirituality may be equated to moksha, but moksha is much higher than the spirituality as said then. From Parv, I now correlate this with these 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. There I said first 9 is the battle and rest 9 is movement. Now these chapters divided into 3 very clear parts. First 6 Karma Yoga, next 6 Bhakti Yoga, and last 6 on Jnana Yoga. And each one of them is Vishad Yoga, chapter 1, depression, how to get out of depression. HR, modern management. Sankhya Yoga, learning, motivation, growing, leadership. You can put all of them together. Karma Yoga, we discussed. Jnana Yoga, unless you do various courses, you don't get Gyan, you can't perform. So in life, Jnan is ultimate. You have to have knowledge to achieve anything. It existed then, it exists today. Karma Vairagya, Abhyasa, it all says. It's so very clearly narrated. Bhakti Yoga, we all understand. You know? Devote yourself to the cause. Identify your cause. If that cause is identified, I think your bhakti is identified. Whether through Bhagavad Gita or through modern management system, it has to be. There has to be a devotion, dedication to the organization that you serve, to yourself, to your family. So decide what bhakti yoga you want to follow, in what pattern, correlate with this, whether it is Vijnan, Akshara, Rajvidya, Vibhoti, or simple bhakti yoga. Jnana Yoga is science of intellect. We spoke about this. And without this, the chapter 18, Moksha, Upadesha Yoga, cannot be achieved. For want of time, I shall proceed to the next. If there are questions, I shall take on later. So we discussed a lot of things as we went by along the Gita. It's an ocean, and 1 hour is far too insufficient, and my own knowledge is too inadequate to cover it in 1 hour. But suffice to say that it has got tremendous lessons. उसमें से मैं अगर चंद चंद एक लेसन्स भी अपनी जिंदगी में ले लूं तो मेरे ख्याल से जिंदगी सफल हो जाएगी. एंड आई ब्रिंग श्लोक 20 ऑफ चैप्टर 4. चैप्टर 4 कर्मयोग का है. अगर आपको मैं ये बताऊं, देखिए चैप्टर 4 कर्मयोग के अंदर है और ज्ञान की बात करता है. इसे कर्मण्य भी संसधि मास्था जन कादय लोक संग्रह में वापी संपश्य कंतुर महर्षि यदा यदा चरति श्रेष्ठस्त देवेतरो जनः स यत् प्रमाणम कुरुते लोकस्तद अनुवर्तते. He talks about Janak, Raja Janak. The way Raja Janak performed his duties to perfection. He achieved perfection in performing his duties. The highest form of actions that he is supposed to do, and he actually did. He put the two together. That is the level of perfection in my duty I must achieve. And therefore, you should also perform your duties in such a manner that you become the example. You become the leader to be followed for the whole of the world. Then he says, whatever actions great leaders perform. So he says कि you also are Janak. आप भी उतना अच्छा एक्शंस परफॉर्म करो ताकि आम लोग आपको मानने लगे, आपकी बात को मानने लगे. जो स्टैंडर्ड्स आप बनाएंगे, that will be the ultimate standards. Now, how do you do this? In modern world, it is said, हाँ हम कहते हैं यार Sundar Pichai is ultimate. He's done this. Now look back, put Janak here. Has he done his duties to the perfection? The answer is yes. Has he performed in a manner that others have started following him? Yes. What actions he has performed, are others not trying to do it? Yes. And therefore, whatever standards he is setting, others are wanting to follow it. I've just taken one example, and we can talk of n number of examples from our real life, from national personalities to international personalities. For a small company to a bigger company. Janak was a king of a state. So let's take state of India, state of Bangladesh, state of Myanmar, USA, Ukraine, Russia, and put the same this there. Why are the two Russia and Ukraine fighting? Put this template there. Are they following the duties that is mentioned in chapter 4, shlok 20? No, there is some challenge, some problem. If they understand this, they'll be able to get it. All right. I bring to your knowledge 14 principles that I found are very common and used across the business world. Given by Smiths, I think. I'm forgetting the name. A scalar chain of authority, discipline, unity of command. You can correlate each one of them with Gita, with different chapters of Gita. And whether Peter Drucker or Max Weber or any other expert of modern management that you take, all of them put together are not equal to lessons from Bhagavad Gita. They are minuscule part of the knowledge which we have put into large number of texts and we are applying it. I remind you of the first two slides that I had shown, that all of these scriptures were translated into different languages and they're using the same words in English. But they all come from Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, Ramayana, and so on. If I just remind you that before 1600, there was a dark period in Europe and Britain. So maybe Emmanuel Kant came much later, but prior to that, only Greek, Plato and Socrates and some of those thinkers existed. We existed far, far earlier than them. So this we have done. Nishkam karma is one which I'll discuss in the question answers if there are any. And before I close, let me show you the clip. I'll let me stop presenting. Let me come one to one, and I want to show you one of the clips of Mahabharata and some lessons that I want to share with you just about. Oh, So it is taking me through this avatar. Okay. Okay, I'm trying to play this music, and let me also share this screen. Mhm. Okay, can you, is the voice visible? Somebody to please confirm. Can you hear me?
No, sir.
आपको गीता की आवाज आ रही है?
No, sir. No, sir. No, no.
No.
Your voice is audible, but that is not coming.
You can see the picture.
Picture we can see.
So I'm finding some challenge in attaching the voice, but there was certain. So what I'll do,
Sir, in order to enable the voice, I guess you have to share the screen with Chrome tab option on it.
where is that option? I was trying to search there.
Yeah, it was right on the same screen where you got the option of sharing the screen. Like when you click
So
on.
if you tell me, I have stopped sharing the screen.
Yeah, if you click on the present now button, sir, you will be shown three options there: your entire screen, a window, and a tab.
So I'm saying I've clicked on entire screen.
Yeah. Instead of that, click on a tab, sir. The third option.
So it is on the share.
On the present now button, sir, beside this.
लगा होना चाहिए बॉस. हमारे तो गीता में कोई रेफरेंस नहीं लगा. And yet it is one of the best written poem scripture. So when you look at all these things, you realize that it is not alone one part of Gita, but it is wholesome benefit that I draw if I am able to look into the sciences of Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita, that I shall be able to draw lessons for my life, and so is applicable for every one of us. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kaushal, for helping me out. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful, and I'm open to questions, sir.
Sir, it was a nice lecture, wonderful one. Anyway, and you have presented in a very beautiful way, in well-articulated way. But when you start giving a perusal, giving a glance over the Gita at the very second chapter, what happens? Arjuna was bewildered. He was an unmanaged person. Out of emotion, he says, Guru Hanatva hi mahanubhavoscho bhuktum bhachi loke hatvartha kamastu guru nihava bhunjiye bhogan rudir pratigdhan. So how can I kill my kids and kin, my gurus and relatives? And he was so bewildered. Finally he says, Karpanya dosho nihat pahayang pikshami tvang dharma sammudha cheta. Now you teach me. And this is the management guru, the Krishna, tries to make him understand and manage his mental state in such a way that he becomes ready to fight. And for that, what does he say? Because Arjuna was a highly intellectual, he was a highly intelligent person. That's why he took everything in a psychological way. He was sinking in the emotions, and he tries to make him away from all these things. And that's why, taking into considerations the three types of the capacity of the human being, which is found in each and every individual, that is sattva, rajasa, and tamas. That time when he was in moha, he was full of tamasa, and that's why it was the time to keep him out from that. And he gives the gospel of knowledge, karma, and shraddha. And what does he say? As you have rightly said, Sukh dukhe samay kritva labha labhu jaya jayo tato yuddhaya yuddhasta. So what does it mean? He out of sudden he doesn't come to that place. He cannot do the sukh dukhe samay kritva. And then he says, because there are three things and all are interlinked together in the Krishna's map, he says categorically, karma yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga are integrated into one thing. It is not different. It cannot be differentiated. And the reason is very simple. Man is endowed with all the three types of the sattva, rajasa, and karma. Tama. So when Sankhya Yoga Prathakbala Pravadanti na vipashyati Ekam Sankhyam Yogam cha Yo Pashyati Sho Pashyati. It is not the thing that the man is who is endowed with the knowledge, he can only attain the perfection. It is not the thing that he is endowed with the rajas and he is empowered by the motions, he cannot attain the perfection. He says, this Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. See the interconnectedness. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Jnanam sayatendri. And if you have the knowledge, you will do the work in a perfect way. So these are interconnected. And this is the management. And this management you will find in every step of the life. If you are ill, he says, Yuktahara viharasya yukta chestasya karmasu yukta sapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. So if you do the things in a proportionate way, Yuktahara vihara, if you eat too much, you will be ill. Have proportion. Yuktahar, if you move so many, take a morning walk, evening walk all the time, you will be tired. So everything will be yukta. And if you think and brood over the things continuously, you cannot do the work. And this proportionate things this proportionation, if you have this knowledge, you can win the world, you can win the life, and you can attain the perfection. This is the basic teaching. This is the basic principles of management in the Gita. And that's why when Arjuna says, I am incapable to judge what to do and what not to do, karpanya doshe nihat prahayang prichhamitung dharma sammudha cheta, what does he say? Don't worry. When his mind enhances, sorrow is lessens, he gives some other lesson. And finally, he was bewildered and said, now I am at fix what to do and what not to do. He says, Sarva dharmana parityajyam mahamekam saranam praja ahantvan sarpapebhyo mokshayishyami masucha. When he surrenders there, mind becomes cool. The entire thing is managed. And then he says, Nasta moho jnana labdha. So he all the time, he has tried to prepare Arjuna to fight the things. And the level of mental stage Arjuna attains, he starts talking in that very line. When he says, he was in a lower state, he says, Hato va prapsase swarga jitva bhogya chase mahima. If you are killed, you will be the Lord of the heaven. If you kill and you win, you will be the Lord of the earth. Hato va prapsase swarga jitva bhogya chase mahima tasma adutishthaya konteya yuddhaya kritnishchaya. Arjuna, take a vow, fight and you will win. But he could not understand that And in finally, in the 18th chapter, you will find Sarva Dharmana Parityajang Mamekam, leave everything on me. I will help you to make you understand and make you to fight. This is the management that I find in the Gita. So nice of you, sir, for thought-provoking lecture. And that has compelled me to think over the lines of the Gita. So nice of you. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Rajpurohit sir, and also
Jeevan sir, you are on mute, I guess.
For his observations, and also
Om Narayan sir, just wait.
yes, sir.
One observation. Kindly see this. When Avinash sir said this, I was reminded of this book called Dynamics of Triguna Theory in 21st Century. This is my book edited and published last week by Indian Institute of Advanced Studies. So this talks of what actually you said. At any point of time, we have Sattva, Rajo and Tamo in us. How do we mold ourselves that the Rajo, the energy, moves towards Sattva and not towards Tama? And if required, please gain the energy from Tamo and then go towards Sattva. Thank you so much for sharing. Om Narayan sir, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Well, big congratulations to you for the book and also for your thoughts that you have presented in the book. Well, sometime we'll be having that book so that we can learn from that book. Well, we have with us, well, I see Krishnamurti sir, he wanted to say something, and we have with us Ranjit Ghosh sir. Well, let me call Ranjit sir. Sir, Ranjit sir, are you there for your observations? Well,
thank you, Dr. Rao. I'm really thankful to both Dr. Rajpurohit and subsequently Professor Srivastav's supplement to his thoughts. Now, I also subscribe to the same view, and I consider Krishna to be the world's topmost management guru. He's not a mythical feature. We cannot say that he was. So that's why I'm telling that he is. Because whatever we find in the modern management practices, everywhere we find the tinge of Bhagavad Gita. Professor Srivastav has referred many the slokas to substantiate these points. But 2-3 points I will like to add, which we can further discuss. And the first thing that Bhagavad Gita, so far management is concerned, if we want to link these two things, that the first thing that Bhagavad Gita does is this, that freeing our mind from doubt. Because doubt is if we pursue doubt, then there will be philosophy but no action. But what we want is action. So therefore, what we have to do, we have to turn the weakness in human beings into his strength. So how that is possible? When the doubt vanishes, then the human weakness becomes the strength. And this is the first thing that the management the students are taught. And secondly, another important thing, that we have to know the challenges in the work environment. So what was the work environment for Arjuna? We know the Kurukshetra, the battle of Kurukshetra. So there, Krishna tried to, it is not a preaching. We can consider Krishna as the facilitator that we use these days in the management things. Facilitator. He facilitated the Arjuna to go on war with his kith and kin, even if they are so near and dear to him. So this is how we find that this is another thing. And the third thing is devotion to duty. This is also very important, which we get from Krishna's teaching. And that is how we find the commitment and capability, and that is and lastly, I want to add another thing, that we have to enter into time management so that we can upgrade our skill to the change that we may foresee. And we know the stories of Mahabharata, you also describing that when they were on the Banaprastha, and during that period they tried to upgrade themselves, the Pandavas, because they foresaw that there will be war and they have to indulge into that war. And lastly, the thing that Gita comes to us through Krishna is to accept change, because he says that whatever is happening is good, and whatever will happen is also good, and whatever has already happened is also good. So in that way, he says that change is such a concept which is associated with life. So all these things I consider are very much necessary for a management student to pursue, which he can get from the teachings of Gita. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ranjit Bose, sir. Very beautifully have tried to add up things. And the last line, take life as it comes to us. That is the biggest line that you have said. As is the life, just accept it. Okay, take it. Nothing to ponder too much on that. And that is the great message that you have communicated. Well, so thank you so much. Well, Srivastav sir wanted to say something.
No, sir. Simply just he reminded me, Professor Ranjit Ghosh, that since he was brooding too much, and last line he was very beautifully said, what has happened, and look further, and very nicely it has been said in the Gita, ashochan va shochastvam pragyavadaschang bhasase gatasunang gatashuschang nanu sochanti pandita. When he said ki what will happen, because my cousins are there, my guru are there, my entire kith and kin are there, and I am not in position to fight with them. He says ki ashochan va shochastha, you are brooding about the thing that has not to be brooded, because gatasunang gatashuschang nanu sochanti pandita, the thing which has already happened, that has not to be brooded. You will have to pave your path for the future fight, not to brood over the past. You think for the future, how to manage your life and how you manage your mind to make it erect for fighting the battle. So this is a beautiful kind of management. And secondly, one thing I wanted to say, he has also said to quell with the ahankara. He says, don't think that you are doing all these things. Don't think it is all yours. He says, prakrite kriyemanani gunah karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. The entire thing is being done by the prakriti itself. Who are you to do all these things? Because all the three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamasa, they are working together to finish the work, to get it in a beautiful way. But I feel because of ignorance that it is me who is doing the work, and it is because of me they will be killed. It is because of me everything is going to be destroyed. You are nothing to do with that, because everything is being done. So he has tried to manage his mental status in such a beautiful way. So that's why we can say Krishna, the management guru at last. This I wanted to add.
So in this connection, one thing I would like to add is this, that I always refer to these days after going through the pages of different thinkers on Gita. Tilak's interpretation is on Gita seems to be most plausible, because when he's talking about the detached attachment, so what is that detached attachment? It is jnana bhakti samanyita karma yoga. So that is to be pursued, because if that is pursued properly, then only we can get we can make the betterment of our life here and hereafter. That is what he said. This small addition. Thank you.
Sir, it has already been said in the Gita itself. सांख्य योगो पृथग्वाला प्रवदन्ति न विपश्चित ekam sankham yogam cha yo pashyati so prashyati. If you see in a proper way, you will not find any difference between sankhya and yoga and the shraddha, that is called the bhakti yoga. Because if you are dominated by the rajasa and action, you will do the work without being quavered. And if you are knowledgeable person, you can understand what to be done and what is to be done. And if you do not understand all these things, you do all the works being surrendered to the, because he says, Yat karosi yadasnasi yajjuhosi dadasiyat. So whatever you do, you give it, surrender it to me, and in that way you will not do the wrong work. So all these three, jnana, bhakti, and karma, they are intermingled in the same way. You can attain the same path by karma yoga, by jnana yoga, and by bhakti yoga. Simply, this is the thing. And Tilak has rightly observed this thing after going through this verse, because this verse categorically says. So nice of you, sir, for spotting light on this.
Thank you, Professor Ghosh and Professor Srivastav, sir. Well, Krishnamurti sir wants to say something. Yes, sir. Krishnamurti sir.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I was able to listen to a wonderful lecture by Dr. Purohit ji relating to Bhagavad Gita and management. So as far as I am concerned, the point is Gita has been translated in 30 languages across the world, and so many interpretations have come in. And rightly pointed out by Dr. Purohit regarding the management, finely tuned to the modern expectations and other related areas. One thing I have noticed is the main crux of the subject, or the main point, is do your duty without expecting the fruit of action. That is first and foremost and essential in any kind of interpretations given either in podcasts or YouTube or Vimeos, or in textbooks, or even in bhashyas or commentaries written by so many authors. This is what I understood, that without expecting the fruit of action, do your duty. Everything will be at your feet. And this is what the beautiful piece of bit of advice given by Lord Sri Krishna to Arjuna, and I have been practicing it. And thank you very much for your nice interpretation of the same in modern trend. It's rather very amusing me, because you are just deviating and then fine tuning it to the modern world for the for managing the Gita. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Krishnamurti sir. Well, if anybody has something to say, please, they are welcome. I'll wait for half a minute, and then we'll move to our admin, Professor Pramod Kumar Das, because he's working in the area of Gita, and he's having a great research in Gita. Would be very much benefited in listening to his comments. But before he expresses his views, his observations, let us wait for half a minute. If somebody is interested in expressing some suggestions or some observations or some additions. Well, I don't think anybody is. Well, let us move. Yes, Rajpurohit sir. Yes, sir. Please unmute, sir. Please unmute. Sir, please unmute.
Right. Thank you so much for giving the opportunity. One is that Krishnamurti sir is a party to me in writing this book. So thank you so much, Srinivasan sir, for joining us in Shimla and doing the honors. And
Thank you.
I thank Professor Pramod Kumar, who has been very positive and gung-ho about an international conference that I am doing in Jaipur on ancient Indian knowledge system, ancient Indian knowledge management systems, and modern business management. We are organizing this seminar on 14th and 15th of this April, and Professor Pramod has written a paper on this for Karma Yoga, and Professor Srinivasan has written a paper. Thank you all so much. We will need your blessings and good wishes. Do join me on line/physical. We are in Jaipur. We shall be waiting. Any more inputs? I shall be very happy to share. Thank you. Over to you, Om Narayan Rao, sir.
Yes, sir. So let's thank you for the information and that you have given, that you are organizing a seminar on karma. Well, let us move to Professor Das for his observations. Are you there? Yes.
Yes, sir. I am here,
Please.
sir. Thank you,
We will
sir.
be highly benefited by your observations because you are working in this area. Well, please.
The message is very simple, and Dr. Purohit spoke very well. When we are discussing about management, it presupposes the crisis. If everything is in order, if everything is auto-disciplined, then there is no question of management. Management presupposes some crisis. Bhagavad Gita is a unique treatise because it does not avoid crisis. Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, Bhakti yoga, Raj yoga, any yoga we discuss for the crisis and through the crisis. Because Bhagavad Gita is taught in the battlefield, not in the conference hall, not in any university, not in any ashram. It is the very battlefield which is naturally an adverse situation, adverse circumstance. There only this Bhagavad Gita is discussed. So the crisis of life, crisis of mind are not overlooked in the Bhagavad Gita. This is the great thing, great message. And crisis is there in every sphere of life, including business. Because that is the adverse situation where our mind should function very beautifully, in a balanced way. Therefore, very beautifully, Dr. Purohit described the link between determinism and free will. That human mind is determined by triguna. We cannot escape that. It is there. Sattva guna, Raja guna, Tama guna, these three gunas are there. And this mind is determined by these three gunas. But at the same time, there is a scope for free will. There comes the question of management. We can manage and we can interfere through the function of gunas. Very beautifully, the speaker said that we can give a direction to our energy either to sattva or tama. This is the goal of life. The jagat of asuras and the jagat of devatas, hell and heaven. Sattva, raja, tama, these three are there. We can't avoid it. But we can manage them in such a way that our rajasic energy will have a proper direction to excel. That is the point. That is the yoga. If you are marching towards tama, this is bijoga. If you are marching towards sattva, then it is yoga. That means it is dynamic. It is not only classroom teaching, it is dynamic. It is a training that we can train our mind, we can culture our mind, and we can transform ourselves from a lower level of understanding to the higher level of understanding. From Visada Yoga to Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. From a confusing Arjuna to an enlightened Arjuna. This scope is there in the Bhagavad Gita and it is very much functional. So, not only the fact is that we have three gunas, These are the determining factors of our existence. But at the same time, because we are rational, because we have buddhi, that means intellect, which is better than our emotion, we can regulate, we can manage these predetermining factors in the adverse situations to live a very beautiful, very harmonized life, disciplined life. We can have a mind of Sthita Prajna, we can know the skill of karma, yoga karmesu kausalam, and we can have a mind of equanimity, and ultimately we can enjoy this life through the crisis. This is management. If there is no crisis, there is no question of a management. It is natural that mind will be confused. It is natural that human beings will be guided by gunas. It is natural that man will go wayward. But despite these factors, our intention should be to excel, to go in the right direction. And this is taught in the Bhagavad Gita. It is meant for all. It is not only meant for Hindus, it is meant for a human being. Because the management is the management of a mind. Mind is the root instrument of everything, whether you are a businessman or a professor or a army officer, anybody you are, you should have a sound mind, a stable mind, a mind of a wisdom. And that teaching has been imparted in the Bhagavad Gita to the common people. Thank you, and I am very much grateful to Dr. Purohit for his lucid presentation of a very um, critical topic. I shall say critical because when we relate Bhagavad Gita to our practical life, and especially in the sphere of a business management, it is very critical. Because if we are not so honest, we cannot give justice to a particular topic, and we cannot make a relation between the two disciplines. Thank you, sir. I am really obliged to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Das. Well, a very good take or a very good line from Professor Das is whenever we talk of a management, we assume or presuppose that there is a crisis. And it's a great line, I think, because in every aspect of life, in every point of time in our life, we think of managing ourselves because every moment there is a crisis. So overcoming the crisis is management. So as even Dr. Purohit has said that the energy in us, the rajas in us is always active. So that wants to flow some way, the right or the wrong. So Bhagavad Gita as a teacher, I say as a teacher, as a guide, helps us to manage our energies to flow the sattvic way. So that is the lesson, that is the message that we have from Dr. Purohit. Well, it was a great lecture, and a very good observations are being made by Professor Srivastav, Professor Ghosh, Professor Srivastav, and Professor Krishnamurti sir, and Professor Pramod Kumar Das. Well, it was a great lecture, and also the things that followed from the discussion are equally useful, and very nice evening this was, and I really enjoyed all the comments and observations. Well, if anybody still wants to say something, they're welcome. I'll wait for half a minute, then we'll end up this. Anybody? Yes. So one more thing that I got during the course of the lecture, during the interaction session, is the line from Professor Ranjit Ghosh sir. Well, the last two lines, take life as it comes to us. So that implies always be in the present. Take the present situation to be most important. Okay, whatever will happen, pondering over the consequences, the future, and what has happened. So they make no sense. They are meaningless. What is more meaningful and what makes more sense is the present. What is the challenge that you have at the present that is most important. So that also makes a great supposition in order that we guide our lives in a right way, because whatever we have got to do, we have to do in the present. So that is also a great take from the Bhagavad Gita. So thanking everybody. We should end up this session. So Professor Pramod Kumar Das, I request Professor Pramod Kumar Das to propose a vote of thanks.
Now that line is be present in the present.
Be present in the present.
And
Be
always
present in the present.
be present in the
present.
in the present,
Hmm.
and always think that you are absent.
Yes. Be present in
Yes,
the
sir.
present, thinking that you are
Otherwise,
absent.
that karta bhava will continue.
The sense of agency will flow in.
Mm.
Okay. Sense of
So,
agency will flow in.
so
I have a different thing, sir. The time is a threefold present. The past is the present memory, the future is the present expectation, and present is the present experience. So we never either go in the past or in the future. It is simply the mind, because even we brood about the past, it is in the present, and if we expect anything in the future, it is again in the present. So time is the threefold present. There is no past, there is no future. Thank you, sir.
namaskar to all of you. So we are really grateful to Dr. Purohit for his wonderful presentation, and we solicit his benign presence with us. So here we shall close this meeting. We shall meet again. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Once again, Ranjita has joined, Sangeeta has joined, Kaushal has joined. All these people are part of new generation, Professor Pramod. And I urge everyone to get more and more young blood into the system so that our blood continues to flow and the culture continues to grow. Thank you all. Jai Hind.
I am going. I shall meet them there.
Yes, I'm waiting for you, sir.
Thank you.
Right.